Ahoy hoy! In this video I am going to be reviewing my 2025 money goals, how I did, break it all down with my very honest report of what I was able to achieve and what I wasn't able to achieve. And I love watching these videos that other people make. You know, we're all in this together, just trying to do the best we can to prepare for retirement. And I have now officially 2 school years left before my retirement, and I'll make a video separately about how that's all going to work as I prepare for retirement, so stay tuned for that. But let's get into the goals I set last year, financial goals, and how I did at achieving them. So some of my failures and successes can be measured by just whether I managed to do them, but others are goals that I've rethought and abandoned pretty quickly, but deliberately intentional early on last year. And so one of those was contributing to my simple IRA as a self-employed person. I decided that at this point I'd rather be putting new money into my Roth IRA. The business I run, it's an in-home daycare Montessori toddler program, and it's just the profit margin at this point, my 17th year running it, has just gotten, really harder to make a good profit. So the savings I do in taxes by contributing to the simple IRA are just really not that worth it versus putting money into my Roth IRA that's already set up. I felt was a better choice, and that's just a choice for me, not telling anybody else what to do, because that varies a whole lot individually. So I did contribute a few thousand into that earlier in the year and then stopped. My goal was $6,300, and because I just stopped that goal, I did not achieve that goal. Okay, and then another goal I had was to do a no spend in February and in November, and I did do the one in February. I chose not to do the one in November, and that has to do with the fact that, like I said, I have 2 years left of work before I close my child care and retire, and my definition of retiring is just that I don't have to work anymore. So I'll talk about this more in other videos, but I decided these next 2 years to really try to live as if I'm already retired and just living off my husband's teacher income. I probably won't do no spend when I'm retired. Part of that is just to try to save more money. So saving money won't be as high a priority once we're retired, because we'll get into the spending mode of what we've saved all these years. So I did not do the November no spend, but I did do the February one. That's it for the goals that I kind of chose midway through the year not to do, and so that's why I didn't achieve those. Next, we have the goals that I was semi-successful at achieving, and one of those was to contribute just $150 into my Roth IRA. So I did not contribute to my Roth IRA during June, July, and August, because I have no income during June, July, and August, and I was really trying not to dip into savings at all yet, and just live on my husband's salary, which is also lower during the summer, so even more challenging because he's a public school teacher and he, gets like additional pay some months of the year, but just his base salary during the summer. But then other than that, I did contribute $150 a month to my Roth IRA, so that was semi-successful. And then another goal I was pretty successful at was saving money into different categories. So I have 5 different emergency savings accounts because it helps in my mind just always be thinking of like the type of emergencies you can have. And so one is a car emergency, so that some people might call that a sinking fund, but you can also have, car emergencies where they're totally unexpected and you might need to pay like your insurance deductible if your car gets smashed by a tree like mine did, and then also have to buy a new car and not want to have to take out a loan necessarily for that, or at least not as large of a loan. So that's what my car emergency savings is for. And then general maintenance, we work into the regular budget. And so I did save, how much did I put down? $200 a month for that account, not counting June, July, and August, where we were in just living off my husband's salary and not saving any additional money. And then I also have a medical emergency account / sinking account. So I'm putting money in there for medicines that are purchased a few times a year for my family that are rather expensive. Our portion's rather expensive. So I put money in there for that, and then also for if we ever have a deductible, if someone, ends up in the ER or something, we have a deductible for that we have to pay. We'll use that account also. And so I put $200 a month into that account every month except for July and August. And then we have a house maintenance account that we put $350 a month into, and that's for larger items. And all these accounts are fairly new for me, but we're just building up every month for things that we have to fix around the house. And we just did a roof, we just painted the outside, but this account is for future larger expense items that we'll need to do just to keep the house maintained and to catch up on deferred maintenance that's happened over the year. And so that account would be used if we felt there was something we needed to fix, or if we had like a plumbing emergency. Those tend to be pretty expensive. We'll have that account. So we saved into the house emergency account every month but June, July, and August. And then we have our Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying account, and that is for like having fun, like in more expensive ways, so like weekend getaways, or maybe like more expensive tickets to something that we can't budget for that month, or vacations. So we save $400 a month into that account, and then it's there when we're ready to use it. I also have an emergency account that's for like loss of income, and I didn't set a monthly goal for that, but we just tend to, when we have extra in the budget, put it into that account. So the goal of saving into these accounts every month except summertime for these emergency accounts is a 2025 goal that I succeeded at doing. And then a goal that we met every month this year was a goal of saving $150 into our public account, which is our non-retirement stockbroker account. And so we just, buy individual stocks on that mainly. It's kind of like an extra account, so to speak. And so that account is not necessarily hallmarked for our retirement, although it could become a way to fund our retirement also. Anyway, so I met that 2025 financial goal by contributing $150 to that account every month. Now, one big goal I've talked about in other videos was saving enough for my husband to upgrade his boat. Now, right now he just has a little John boat for fishing, and he just wants one with a little cover over it so that like he can go out when the weather is bad, which it is often where we live. And then eventually, you know, take grandchildren there and they can stay dry or shaded while they're out fishing someday, hopefully. The goal was to save $550 a month at least to that account, and then as we had extra money in the budget or extra earned income, we would put money into that account. And so I'm happy to say that as of December, that account is fully funded, and that's because we did put extra beyond the $550, and we had a balance going into 2025 as well. So that's a 2025 financial goal that we achieved, is funding that. And so that's exciting for everyone around here. So another goal was to try to live on just my husband's income, and I did an update last time for July. So if you're following me, or if you want to go back and watch those videos, you can know how I did the first half of the year. So, you know, in July and August, things were really serious living just off my husband's income, and I didn't have any money coming in from my side hustle of teaching adults how to do Montessori, because my father had died in June, so I stayed home in July instead of going to Atlanta to teach. So I'll tell you about July and August when I had no income at all, and we did okay on living off just my husband's income in July and August. We did have to pull $500 from our general income replacement emergency fund to meet expenses in August. And in July, we had to pull out just a little under $2,000 to meet our expenses. So obviously I'm going to have to figure all that out before I retire for sure. And I'll be sharing all my goals for these next 2 years and my strategy to live off one income, practicing really a long practice before I retire. Now for this 2025 financial goal, I did meet it in September, October, and November, which was much easier to do because, again, I had income. I was back to having the school open. In September, 95% of my salary was put towards either savings, investing, or making extra payment, you know, beyond the minimum on my HELOC loan. So that's only 5% of my September salary that went into the family budget. In October, I managed to save, invest, or put extra into our HELOC payments above minimum. That was actually 105% of my income. So I actually exceeded my goal of the 100% rate for my income. And then in November, I managed to do 114% rate. So again, did better than my goal of 100% of my income not being put into the family budget, just saving, investing, or doing extra debt payment for that. So starting this school year, doing very well with that so far, and I'll probably do an update for December when I share my goals, or at least I'll definitely share if I don't do well in December on any of my goals, but it's budgeted out and looks like I will meet all my 2025 monthly goals for December pretty well. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. I will have my New Year's goal video out soon, as well as talking about, now that I have my retirement date set, how I'll really be hyper focused on meeting my goals and what they will be for this 2026 year. If you found this video helpful or interesting, or if it made you feel better about your own financial goal meeting, Let me know with a thumbs up, like, or in the comments, and let me know how you did on meeting your goals. For me, it's helpful to review them going into December, so in December I can really be thinking about what I want to do for my 2026 goals. All right, thanks for watching. I hope to see you in the comments. Take care.